Let's move forward and look at the next two sentences, sentences 15 and 16. Imperia deorum non audiuntur, nam homines neque deos timent, neque templa curant. So here I have the end of my first sentence, and I noticed as I was reading through it that I have three verbs. The semicolon after the first verb is a really good indicator that my first clause is going to end after audiuntur. Pay attention to the fact that audiuntur is in the passive voice. I see that because of the enter. There is just an I and a U in front of the enter, which means that this is in the present passive, making either imperia or deorum the subject. Deorum has the genitive plural ending on it, so it is not the subject of audiuntur. Imperia looks as if it's singular, but when you look at that noun on the vocabulary list, imperium, imperii, it is in fact a neuter second declension noun, which means imperia is the neuter, nominative, and plural, making it the subject of audiuntur. Deorum is not a by phrase. This passive voice clause does not have a by phrase in it. It is in the genitive deorum, and it works in conjunction with imperia. The imperia of the deorum are not audiuntur, right? Nam is a conjunction, and it is often very confusing to people because it means for. Its purpose is to communicate why the statement that was just made has been made. What is the reason that the imperia of the deorum are not being audiuntur? Nam homines neque deos timent neque templa curant. This sentence is interesting because of homines and templa, both of which can be nominative or accusative forms. But how am I supposed to know what they are? Well, let's take a look at the verb and see if it gives us any hints. The verb is curo curare, a first conjugation verb that means to care for. I do not notice a V or an X in the base of this verb. It's in the present tense. And I notice that the ending, nt, means that the subject is plural. Deos cannot be the subject because os is definitely an accusative plural ending. So curant has to have a plural subject, which could be either homines or templa. At this point, the easiest thing to do is to decide which makes better sense. Do homines take care of, or do temples take care of? If it's not being the subject, then it's being the direct object. So if homines are taking care of something, it's going to be the deos and the templa that they take care of. If the templa are taking care of something, it's the deos and the homines that they are taking care of. So I think you'll probably make the correct choice about which word, homines or templa, is the subject. Now, what do we do with this neque neque? It comes, it's positioned as it is because you are supposed to translate the first one as neither or neither, and the second one as nor. But then what do we do with this timent? So the idea ends here, and neque is really like the conjunction. So the homines neither timent the deos nor curant the templa. That's how we're going to put that together. So that kind of tells us that homines really is the word that we're going to use as the subject. The final sentence on this page is honor officium cura terras reliquerunt. My goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4 nouns all in a row. What are we ever going to do with them? Let's use our verb as a clue. Do you notice the NT? It means that it has to be plural, which means I could have a nominative plural subject, or I could have multiple nouns as subjects. Also pay attention to the spelling of the base that the NT is added to. R-E-L-I-Q. If you look at your vocabulary list, there is no verb that begins R-E-L-I-Q. There is a verb that begins R-E-L-I-N-Q-O, and that's the verb we're looking at. Check out its third principal part. It goes relinquo, relinquere, reliqui, relictum. This is the third principal part of the verb to leave behind. And the ending isn't just NT, but ERUNT, which means it is in the perfect tense. You have to leave something behind, which means I need a direct object. I know specifically that teros is in the accusative case, so it is most definitely a direct object. Honor and cura are not even remotely possible chances as direct objects, because neither of them in this form can be in the accusative case. These can, however, both be in the nominative case. That leaves me with officium. Officium is a neuter noun, so this form could be nominative or accusative. What are we going to do with it? We know that honor and cura are focused as subjects. So honor and cura reliquerunt the teros. Have they reliquerunt the teros and the officium? And if we're going to make that choice, why didn't the author put an et between officium and teros? I'd like to build the argument that because there is no et between teros and officium, but the fact that it is not a direct object, and the fact that officium is sandwiched between two nominative case nouns also indicates that officium is part of that nominative sandwich. Those three words work together as the subject of reliquerunt. Honor, officium, cura, reliquerunt teros. This is also a really great place to translate the perfect tense using the helping verb have. These three things have left, have abandoned the teros. Makes it much more powerful than if we just say left or abandoned, because it gives the weight of saying that it started in the past and it continues up until the moment that we are talking about when we say have left or have abandoned. You try your hand at putting these two sentences together, and then we'll move on and take a look at the final two sentences of part 1.